Hello all, welcome back to New Chapters. My name is Sarah, and if this is your first time joining me, I just want to say thank you for stopping by for this chapter of my life. I'm a hobby hopper, so if this isn't the content you usually watch me for, I hope you enjoy this hobby as well, and will stick around for today's video. Today we're going to be doing another WIP&Chat. I am still using my Enablers Outpost Winter Girl Kit for my WIP&Chats right now. So some things that I'm using tool-wise, I have my Elizabeth Ward tray kitted up with the drills for this kit. I also have a Diamond Art Club diamond painting pen, as well as their metal steel single placer tip. I also have a glue dot here in the tip of my pen. And then if I need them, I have a pair of a tweezer from Dreamer Designs. And then for my tray, I'm still using my Firefly Diamond Art tray. It has multiple tray bases. The one I'm going to be using today is this single grid tray, but it does have two other grids if you want to multi-place or if you just want to use a regular tray bottom. So first thing today, while I'm getting this pulled up, I want to check in with you guys and see how things are going for you. Anything new or exciting or crazy going on in your life that you want to chat about in the comments, please leave that information down below. I'd love to check in and see how you guys are doing this week. Another kind of housekeeping item that I want to make sure I start off with today, I do want to apologize for my change in upload schedule. I had been posting my WIPs on Mondays, but unfortunately, I was procrastinating on getting some stuff done this weekend before I'm starting my new job. And so I did not have time to get the things done that I had been needing to get done, plus do the filming and editing and uploading and stuff of the video that I needed to get out this weekend so it could post on time for this past week. So I ended up posting this past week on Wednesday instead of on Monday. And truthfully, I am probably going to be changing my upload schedule to Wednesdays on a regular basis, at least for the WIP&Chats. I think that once I start my new schedule, or like not my new schedule, but my scheduled schedule, once I'm out of training and I'm not working every single day, I think Wednesdays are going to be the day that is most convenient for me just based on the days that I'm going to be working. So that's why the video was up late last week, and it will also go up later this week. As you guys will see, I'll post it again on Wednesday instead of on Monday, and that will be my new upload schedule, hopefully moving forward. But just so you guys know, there might be some wiggle room in when I am going to be uploading both videos and shorts and things like that over the next couple of weeks as I kind of get into my new work schedule and figure out what's going to work best for me here, with kind of having a strange work week and then just making sure that I have enough time to film and then to edit everything and get it uploaded. So hopefully you guys will be able to stick around for a Wednesday WIP&Chat upload instead. I'm sorry that I was not able to notify you guys of that change before it happened. As I said, it was something that I had been procrastinating on getting some stuff done around my house when I'd been procrastinating on getting some stuff done around my house. So that weekend before I was, starting my new job. So this weekend, man, my words today are not flowing very well. I was procrastinating on getting stuff done until this weekend, which is the weekend before I'm starting my new job. So everything got a little crazy and hectic, and I was trying to get those things done that needed to get done last minute done before I'm going back to work. So that kind of took priority and precedent over getting this all filmed and getting everything uploaded and all of that kind of stuff. So everything's been pushed back just a tiny bit. So as I said, Wednesday ended up being a better day for me to upload. Alrighty. In addition to that, let's see here. Gotta check my notes. I feel like I'm missing something. Um, so I guess that's it for kind of uploaded, like the schedule change to my uploads and stuff, I believe. This week, as I said, I was kind of catching up on some things that, like, yes, I've had 3 months of not being at work that I could have worked on things and completed things and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I've waited till the last second to do those things. Now that I know that I have an end date of not being unemployed anymore, I'm like, now I guess is the time that I should get all that stuff done that I've had months and months and months to work on. um, so, as I told you guys in my last WIP&Chat this past week, I decided to go ahead and take my car into the shop to get it kind of tuned up and make sure I had my oil changed and like tires looked good and all that kind of stuff. Since I'm going to be traveling a decent amount between my house and my job, I wanted to make sure my car was, in good condition before I start driving a pretty decent distance every day for work. So I went and had my oil change done, and they rotated my tires and all of that, and things looked good on that front. But I decided, even though there's some shops closer to me than my hometown, I decided to go ahead and go to my hometown, which is where my mom works and where I used to work, and go ahead and kind of kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, um, and go get lunch with my mom and go see some old coworkers while my oil was getting changed. So that's kind of why I went a little bit out of my way to for the shop anyway. Didn't go as close as I could have, so I could go see everybody and say hi. So that was really awesome. I enjoyed getting to go see my coworkers and touch base with people. I was able to see everybody that I wanted to see, which was great. I'm glad they were all at work. I'd only checked with one of them to make sure they were going to be in the office, just to make sure somebody was going to be in the office that day. But I was kind of playing a game of hoping everybody else was there. I assumed they would be, but you never know if somebody's sick or they had a vacation day planned or whatever. So I was glad that everyone that I wanted to see was there, and I was able to stop in and say hi to them, and got stopped by a couple of other coworkers that I was glad to catch up with. They weren't necessarily on my must-see list, but it was good to catch up with. I mean, everybody. There's nobody there that I really don't like. So it was nice that they stopped me and caught me and were like, "Oh, hey, can't believe you're here. Like, what are you doing here?" I threw people off a little bit because I did not know that they are currently, or I guess just finished with interviews for hiring some um, probation officers to do the role that I used to do there. And so a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, are you here because you're, interviewing for the role, or because you got the job and we didn't know you were applying for it?" Ooh, whoops. Man, hand-eye coordination today, not great apparently. Um, but yeah, so they all thought that I was actually coming back to work there. So I was sadly telling them, "No, I'm not actually coming back. I'm just here to visit and say hi to everybody." And it just made sense to stop in and see y'all while I was down the road anyway. So that was kind of funny. I mean, probably every single person that I talked to this past week while I was saying hi was like, "Oh my gosh, you're coming back," and I was like, "Actually, I'm not, but I'm glad you guys miss me and you want me to come back." Um, so that was a pretty good feeling, honestly, to be able to say everybody wanted me to come back and were sad that I was like, "Actually, I'm starting a new job next week and am not going to be returning." Um, so stopped in, saw all of them. I had mentioned that my old field partner, I like to text old friends and coworkers and stuff happy birthday if I was close with them. And I have my old field partner's work email address, but he is getting up there in age. He's almost at the point of retirement. He's getting pretty close. So I wanted to make sure I had his personal number as well as his work email address so I could actually send him texts still once he retires to say happy birthday and just kind of check in every year. And so I had previously kind of asked in email, sort of in a passive way, like, hey, it would be great if I had your number so I could, text you happy birthday once you retire and leave this place. And he had never really taken the hint. Like, I wasn't direct about just saying, like, hey, I'd really love your number. I don't have it. And so when I stopped him and talked to him this week, he was like, oh, you don't have my personal number? I thought we had each other's personal number. She's like, I'm pretty sure I have your personal number. I was like, well, I'm sure you might, but I don't have yours. I was like, so if you have mine, you're doing better than I am. But so he dug around for a business card and gave it to me and wrote his personal number on it. So I was able to get his phone number so I can send him an annual happy birthday text. So I was happy that I was able to make that happen. Um, since it's something I've been kind of hoping to take care of for the last, I don't know, couple months now. I've thought about it. His birthday's in December, so it came up pretty recently. And I was like, I need to make sure the next time I see him that I grab his phone number from him if he'll let me have it. Um, so that was good. Glad I got to catch up on that. Was able to catch up, as I said, with everyone I really wanted to. A couple of my female coworkers, we were able to catch up and vent a little bit and talk about some life problems and help each other through some, emotional situations that had been happening recently in our lives. So that was nice. Was able to talk to a couple of other of my older coworkers who, again, are getting closer to retirement age, and kind of check in and see how things are going in their life. So that was awesome. Um, so did that and then had lunch with my mom that day. So that was awesome. Glad I got to see her in person before going back to work when it's going to be, well, I thought potentially might be, a little more difficult to meet up with her and do lunch or something. But with my work schedule the way that it's going to be set up, I'll probably actually still have the time and the ability to go see her for lunch, either while she's working or even on her off days and stuff. I should have that flexibility, I would hope, with the way everything's looking for the new job. So I'm looking forward to having that flexibility, but it was nice to go ahead and make sure it happened anyway. As I said, even though I've had 3 months to, do things that I've been meaning to do or should be doing or wanting to do, my procrastination has definitely made it so that I haven't really done any of those things still until I had an end date to be working towards and was like, here's the pressure I'm feeling to get this all wrapped up and to get more things unpacked and to take care of, my car and all that kind of stuff. So the procrastination pressure was definitely in full force this week and was causing me to want to and need to get some stuff done before starting my work on Monday. It'll be a week of training this week and then the following week. And then I believe from that point, I will start my new schedule and will be kind of on my own. Not on my own, but I'll be let loose, so to speak, to be able to go interact with everybody and start my job. So that was what happened this week at the office and getting my car tuned up and having lunch with my mom. And then I ended up talking to another coworker from a different job on Friday. She's from my most recent job. Um, so we had been chatting back and forth about catching up. We kind of been texting off and on for a couple of weeks, as in part because we were talking about I drive through the town that her boyfriend lives in now when I'm, or I guess I will be. I did for my interview drive through the town that her boyfriend lives in on the way to my job, or what will be my new job. It's so weird to talk about it in that way. It doesn't quite feel like my job quite yet, but it also feels unnatural to not just refer to it as my job. I don't know. It's a strange situation right now. I'm sure it'll be fine once I actually start on Monday, and then I can call it my job, and it will be my job. Um, but we had kind of touched base about the fact that I was going to be driving by her boyfriend's house on my way to and from work, and that, I might even drive by while she's there, um, since I'll be working evening shifts. So when they're seeing each other after work, if she's over at his house, I might even be able to spot her car and be like, "Oh, hey, I see you're over there at your boyfriend's." And like, you should call me when you leave and we can catch up on your way home or something like that. So we ended up talking on Friday for quite a while. We spent probably a good 2 hours talking on the phone, and we're both pretty chatty people when we're talking with friends. Um, she likes to pretend she's an introvert, but really she's an extrovert, and I'm an introvert. But you know that it is a long conversation when the extrovert one of us is actually, like, I could tell she was tired from all of our debriefing and catching up over what's been going on at the office and some drama there since I've left, and then also me just catching her up with what's been going on with me and the job I'm starting on Monday and all that kind of stuff. There was just a lot to talk about and a lot to get through, and it was pretty, I think, emotionally draining for both of us. It was good. It was good that we had that conversation, but we were both pretty tired. As I said, when my friend that's the extrovert gets worn out and tired after chatting, it was a lot, because again, she likes to claim she's an introvert, but like, she definitely, I mean, she's that person who, from the time she leaves work till the time she goes to bed, she's calling somebody on the phone, whether it's her family or her friends or whatever. I'm like, that is not an introvert. Like, once if you're an introvert, once you get home, you're very unlikely to every single day for forever want to be chatting with people after you get home. You're like, nope, this is my alone time and my quiet time, and please do not interact with me unless we have a scheduled phone call. um, so I always give her a hard time about that, because I'm like, you are definitely not an introvert like you think you are. But I appreciate that you accept and understand that sometimes people just want alone time and some space, and that's has nothing to do with you. That's just needing a minute to kind of decompress and debrief. And I mean, even as an extrovert, you have to have time to unwind and decompress and be away from people at some point in time. Um, she just doesn't need it as often as I do as an introvert. um, but it was really good to talk with her and catch up and learn some things that made me glad that I left, about like my supervisor, and some things, some comments that have been made since I left, kind of trying to make it seem like my leaving had something to do with the coworker friend who I was talking to. And luckily, the coworker friend that I was talking to and stuff, we're good friends. Like, we talked before I left. Like, she knows why I left, and like what sort of problems were arising that led to me eventually leaving, officially. And so she was able to kind of put our supervisor a little bit in her place and go, nope, that is not why she left. But thank you for trying to blame my actions and behaviors on that you want changed on why somebody else left our office space. So we were kind of able to touch base on that, debrief. I was able to kind of remind her and confirm for her that, like, no, I absolutely did not leave because of her or her actions or her behaviors. Like, I loved having her as a coworker. Um, there was never anything that was a problem. And one of the things, again, she's definitely an extrovert. So, like, part of my understanding of what's come up is that, people are complaining about her being a little too loud and exuberant in the office or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, that's something I loved about her. And like, on the flip side of that, I also know that we respected each other enough that if I had been like, hey man, I need you to like tone it down today because I am not feeling okay, or like I have to focus and I can't while you're, doing your job, but doing your job in a way that can sometimes be a little bit louder and just more disruptive, because she's doing a good job at her job. Like, we could have communicated that to each other, and I did communicate that to her on the handful of days that I was like, man, I really need you to like let me be and not be in my space. Or I would even take myself to a different area that was quieter so that I could just concentrate and focus on what I needed to do. So I was annoyed on her behalf for the fact that, like, her behaviors and things are being targeted, but there's also no support being given to her. Like, she requested some additional things um, to kind of help support. And she was like, can you move me to a different office so that I'm not bothering other people if that's a problem that's occurring? And like, who's even bringing this up? And our supervisor, old supervisor, I guess for me, was kind of being a little dodgy about answering questions and was like, nope, you've got to just learn how to tone yourself down, and you can't, you can't, we can't solve this problem for, like, we can't come to a solution and a resolution for this. Like, you just have to change yourself so that you can fit better in with the office. And it's kind of like, that's not a great supportive supervisor answer, but okay. And again, I was annoyed too when she told me that apparently our supervisor is telling her that the reason I left my position was because of this coworker that I love to death and like care about a lot, and was being told that it's because she was too loud and too extra that like I left. And I'm like, no, actually it's because you made me feel unsupported and unwelcome in this environment. But I'm glad that you're spinning it in a way that is trying to pit my coworker against me and pit me against her and make it seem like, I mean, my understanding was that she literally told my coworker who's still there that I personally had lied to her about why I left. Um, because I left because of her. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that that's the way she's choosing to tell people that I left. I'm like, you just don't want to admit that I left because of you. So I, yep, that was a fun conversation. Again, very emotionally draining and exhausting for both of us because there was a lot of stuff we were talking about and a lot of things that have been going on. So I'm just hoping that things get better for my old office. I mean, I don't want anything to implode there or anything like that. Like, I hope they can resolve things and get through and learn some more and some better communication skills so that hopefully this sort of, I don't know, blaming of people and back and forth thing kind of dies down. But it all has to start with good leadership, and honestly, I'm not sure that that's what exists there right now. But we definitely had a good phone call, and hopefully, we're going to talk a little bit more often in the future. As I said, since I'll be driving by her boyfriend's house probably around the time she's getting ready to leave, um, any night that she's over at his place, we're hoping to maybe chat a little bit more on our ways home, or at least on her way home, since I'll still be awake by the time she leaves. Most nights, I would assume. So hopefully we get to catch up a little bit more often, like over the phone. As I said, we've kind of been texting back and forth, but I'm bad at texting people back. So, you know, when she texts me and we send like 3 or 4 different paragraphs back to each other, but I only respond to her every few days. And then sometimes she'll respond immediately, but then sometimes she'll wait a couple of days to respond. So it becomes a very long, drawn out conversation for us. So it's definitely more convenient and easier to talk when we're on the phone versus texting back and forth for a while. Um, so that was my phone call with my most recent coworker. And then another thing I did this week is I tie dyed some t shirts for the new job. So my new role is very, like, I guess I shouldn't even say it's very hands on. I don't know how hands on it's going to be yet, but there's a potential for it to be hands on. So they're definitely like, don't wear your nice clothes to the office. Like, be aware that things might get beat up and torn up and ripped and spit on and, you know, whatever. So they're like, don't wear the nice fancy clothes to work. So I had already been wanting to get some new like sweats and sweatshirts and t-shirts and things like that anyway. So this just was a good excuse to be able to get some comfy clothes for the office now. And so I ended up buying, as I said, sweats, sweatshirts, some t-shirts, things like that from Walmart this week, so that I have a whole collection that I can wear and not necessarily have to do laundry every day either. um, for the new job. And so one of the things I decided I wanted to do is, I mean, as a kid, I tie dyed some t shirts and stuff through school. And then when I went to college, I got some like plain white pillowcases that I tie dyed that I loved. I still have them actually. Problem with them was they're old enough now that they started to rip. So we had to take them off the bed. But um, I wanted to get some t-shirts that I could tie-dye because I don't really wear tie-dye stuff much anymore. Like it was definitely a phase I went through in middle school where like I wore tie-dye everything. But now I don't really have a lot of tie-dye stuff, if anything at all actually. So I decided I'd get some t-shirts and tie-dye them, and then I'd have some like cool, unique like tie-dye t-shirts that are still really cheap that I can wear to work at the new job. And again, if things get ripped or torn or whatever, I can just always buy some more shirts and I can tie dye some more if I want to. But it also would make it really easy to distinguish between like, here are my shirts that have, been at the facility if I want to make sure that they're separated or if I'm washing them separately or if, again, if I'm getting stains and rips and tears and whatever, I'd rather be able to easily identify which shirts are my work shirts. So tie dyeing them just seemed like a really simple solution to being able to quickly distinguish between, is this a work shirt or is this like a normal shirt that I wear every day, um, for just like going out and about and doing things, or if I eventually one day get a different job, that way I have my old work shirts that are still intact, that I don't have to worry about like, does this shirt have a weird stain on it from that incident a year ago or whatever it might end up being. Um, so I got some shirts and tie dyed those this weekend. Was a little bit more challenging than I anticipated, but they turned out pretty well, honestly. I mean, you can do really simple tie dye patterns and stuff, and I did a couple of those, but I also looked up some videos on YouTube on some more like complex designs. So I did some more complex, not just like a basic swirl or like the crumple technique where you just kind of scrunch it all up and just randomly place dye on the t-shirt. So I was able to get some pretty cool patterns out of it actually, but I definitely didn't have a great setup for it. I was doing it on my laminate flooring, on our first floor. And so I was just sitting on the hardwood floor and was like squatting and kneeling and all that kind of stuff. But it took me like 6 hours. So there was a lot of up and down and a lot of kneeling and a lot of squatting. And it was just kind of like, I'm a little sore and probably shouldn't have done this and exerted my body in this way right before I get to go do training for at least a week or two of, learning how to do some physical things. And I'm probably going to be more active the next couple weeks than I have been in the last 3 months combined. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt too bad. But I'm happy with how the t-shirts turned out. And then let's see here. I got a couple more things on my list today to check out. Let's see. I already had mentioned, that I've really been cramming. I mean, the tie dyeing was a part of this too, right? Like tie dyeing the shirts is something that I thought about when I first got the job offer. But of course, instead of doing that all week this week while I've had the supplies, I waited until, you know, the very end of the weekend to tie dye all these shirts. Um, and like I could have done them earlier so that I wasn't cramming them into the last second of trying to tie dye everything right before I'm starting this new job. But why would I not procrastinate? Why would I take the time to divvy things out in a more manageable capacity? You know what I mean? Again, my procrastination is not unmatched, but it definitely is unmanaged, especially when I've been doing stuff on my unemployment stint here the last couple of months. Like, I have so many things that I should have been doing and could have gotten done while I'd been hanging out at home for 3 months, but I only did like a quarter of the things that I really wanted to and should have been doing. That's just the way it is, I guess, though, right? And then the only thing I really have left on my like list that I wanted to talk to you guys about is I did end up getting the kit that I had been waiting to restock from Diamond Art Club. So the kit I had been waiting to come back was Dragon Spirit. Um, oh, and I should have looked up who it's by. I can't think of the artist's name off the top of my head. Um, I want to say it's like something with an M, like Melanie, maybe. It's not a Mandy Manzano. Oh, dang it. I'll have to try to see if I can find it, and if I remember, I'll add a little like text box to the video when I'm editing this with her name. But I wanted to get Dragon Spirit. I hadn't I liked it when I first saw it, but I saw a video, I believe, from Katie from Diamonds and Washi, where she had done a post review of her completing that kit, and I loved I think they have iridescent drills in that kit. So they're like kind of like crystal rhinestone sort of drills. And they were just, it was so pretty. And I had been looking at some Mandy Manzano kits recently, and I had seen like her princess collection from Jaded Gem Shop. And I was looking at the Mulan kit because I really love Mulan. And I started thinking about the fact that, like, I know it's not necessarily intended to be a Mulan kit, at least as far as I'm aware. But the Dragon Spirit kit, it reminded me after I had seen Katie's video and was looking at Mulan kits from Mandy Manzano, um, or I guess not kits, but artwork from Mandy Manzano that was of Mulan or Mulan inspired. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get that Dragon Spirit kit because it reminds me of Mulan and Mushu. So I ended up putting that was like my top kit on that on my like to buy list. So I ended up buying that when it came back in stock this week, and I was happy that it was stayed in stock long enough. I saw it got restocked as I was leaving my old office and on my way to go grab my car for my oil change. And I was like, oh, I gotta get to there and get my car before they close for the day. So I can't like take a second and stop and buy this kit. So I was like running down the street basically to get to the car shop so I could get this kit that I'd been waiting for because I was afraid it was going to sell out by the time that I got there. But it did not. So I was able to get Dragon Spirit, which was awesome. But as I had told you guys before, I recognize that my Diamond Art Club addiction is partially fueled by the fact that I have their app downloaded on my phone, which makes it really easy and convenient for me to get on just with a tap of a button and already be logged into my account and just purchase, like scroll through the kits and feel like the FOMO of like, oh my gosh, I have to have this kit. So I did what I told myself I was going to do. Once I purchased the Dragon Spirit kit, I went ahead and deleted my Diamond Art Club app. So I have deleted it. That does not mean I'm not going to buy stuff again potentially. I have a bunch of points from them and stuff, so I'm still going to be keeping up to some extent on what is being released and restocked and all that kind of stuff. But I'm trying not to be quite as like, let me check this every morning first thing when I wake up, because that leads to impulse purchasing and again, that fear of missing out sort of sensation and all that kind of stuff. So, one kit I still want to get from them when it does come back that I'm planning to use points for is the Randall Spangler kit, Universe in a Jar. Um, I really like that kit. I've always really liked that kit. I love the planets at the front of the foreground. I think they're just in the foreground. They might be throughout that kit, but I love the way the planets look. They remind me of marbles, and it looks cool visually. So that's a kit that I definitely would like to get when it comes back in stock. But again, I have quite a few points still that I can use towards that kit. In fact, I probably have enough points that I could get it for free minus having to pay for shipping. Um, so I'm hoping to get that kit if it comes back in stock sometime soon. But I'm not going to be, you know, sitting there on my app every single day scrolling through Diamond Art Club kits. So hopefully that limits my purchasing a little bit. Don't be concerned about that for content purposes. I have a lot of kits that I have still purchased over the last couple of months that I shouldn't have been purchasing, but I did. So at some point, there's going to be probably at least a couple of haul videos. And I just recently did a stash video, so I probably won't do a new one in the immediate future, but at some point in the future, I'm going to have to do an updated stash video as well. Um, because I've definitely added quite a few more kits to my collection than what you guys have already seen. So those are some things to kind of look for in the future. Some, as I said, some hauls from some diamond paintings, as well as a new stash video at some point, and there will also be some unboxings as well, I would assume. As I said in my last video, I'm also planning to start a second kit for my WIP&Chats. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm kind of waiting probably until after I start my new job and kind of get settled there a little bit before I add that into my thought processes. But it's something that's kind of in the back of my mind. Every time I pull out this kit or every time I sit down to do WIP&Chat, I go, I should probably start my new kit, whatever that's going to be. So if you haven't left a comment about kind of some tips or tricks about working on 2 kits at a time, or if you have thoughts or opinions about, if I should be working on another round kit, or if I should do a square kit, or if I should do something that's more or less colorful, or if you just have a kit that you've seen from my collection that you'd like to see me work on, let me know what kit you'd be interested in watching, or again, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to try to factor into whatever kit I'm going to be choosing, let me know in the comments below. But I believe other than that, that's really all I have for you guys today. I started asking you guys to leave a emoji in the comments that's kind of related to the video today. If you've made it this far, if you made it to the end. So if you've made it this far, please leave me an emoji. I'm not sure that there's anything that's necessarily tie-dye specific. I don't know that there's like a tie-dye shirt or like a rainbow swirl or anything like that. But find some sort of really colorful emoji and leave that down in the comments below for me today, just to let me know that you've made it to the end of the video. I would really appreciate it. Any sort of comment you guys want to leave, or if you like this video or anything like that, all of those engagement things help other people just find my channel and make sure that I'm still getting out there for others. But as I said, I think that's all I have for today. So thank you all for watching today's video. If you're looking for more content related to this chapter of my life, please check out my diamond painting playlist. I trip up on that every week. It's going to be linked in the description box below. It should also pop up in the corner of the video. But yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content about this chapter and others. And please leave any comments or questions you have down below. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.